Netflix, I keep telling you, stop putting out good films. It's enough. I have too much in my top 10 already. Don't put any more. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Movie Emporium's Netflix original movie review of Left-Handed Girl. This is directed by Shi Chang-soo. So inspired by the childhood of Shi Chang-soo, this tells the story of a family who moves back to Taipei after some incidences and some troubles that they're going through. The mother is not going well with her, along with her mother, and she's trying to run a noodle stand that's kind of falling by the wayside, and she owes money to family members. And she also has a daughter who's rebellious, doesn't really take care of herself. She works for this scumbag who basically uses her. And then she has this very young daughter. The mother has this very young daughter who basically is a child, is susceptible to everything that you can imagine. And similar to like the Florida Project, because this is produced by Sean Baker, she is very precocious, and her grandfather tells her that her left hand is the devil's hand. So therefore she starts stealing, and she starts blaming everything on her left hand. So it's very much a childlike type of thing. And basically this is a realistic approach, a dramatic approach like Sean Baker and Shi Chang-soo do when it comes to like the Florida Project or Red Rocket or Anora, which was Sean Baker's latest film. And it tells the story of this family and the nature of like how difficult it is to raise kids and how difficult it is to raise yourself in this world that is very downtrodden. So Shi Chang-soo and Sean Baker have worked for quite a while now. I think they've worked on every project that Sean Baker has done. Actually, Shi Chang-soo didn't work on Anora, which is interesting, but she's produced and kind of costume designed for everything that Sean Baker has done. But this movie, I didn't know much about, to be fairly honest, before the Miami Gems Film Festival. I didn't know Sean Baker was editing, producing, and writing a new movie. And I heard really great things about this. I didn't get a chance to see it, but I was sent a screener, which I do appreciate, to watch this. And it's another movie that, like, Tangerine and I think the Florida Project, was shot on an iPhone, which is a really good way to do this type of movie, because you can get up close and personal really easily with, as this movie does with the kids, and the way you can get close and personal with the family and just kind of be up in the face and kind of, get that personality and stuff like that. And it's also a movie that's really interesting for having trouble getting financing, which makes me wonder how long this movie was in production for, because once again, I think after Sean Baker won the Oscar for Anora, I think this movie probably got a little more head on its shoulders and was Netflix bought it for a reason. So I mean, they're confident that Sean Baker would and Shi Chang-soo would put out a good product. And so with that said, this is the Taiwanese entry for the best international feature. And so I'm here to tell you that this is one of my favorite movies of this year. This movie is realistic, as most Sean Baker and Shi Chang-soo's movies are. This movie's honest. It is not holding anything back. There really feels like it's really dramatic in what it's trying to say, but it's also cathartic in what it's doing. You have this mother who is she's like the odd one out. She's like the ugly duckling. She's like the black sheep of the family. She is trying to take care of these kids, and then she's trying to do things that everybody is against, which is taking care of her ex-husband who didn't really care about her. She feels like an honest portrayal of a mother who is just trying to do the right thing, but seems to be making mistakes left and right, as we all do. The daughter feels like a really good portrayal, really honest portrayal of somebody who also is making mistakes, who's not learning from her lessons. And that is the one thing that a lot of people do, including myself. We don't learn from our lessons and we make mistakes, and therefore we cause chaos in the world of our life. And that's what this movie does. But I think with the young girl, I think is Nina Yi, I think is her name, there is a honest portrayal. There's not really much to her character outside of just her kind of being precocious and explorative and listening to the wrong things. And it almost feels like they're trying to instill upon that this girl could go down a path that her sister and her mother eventually went down, and they're trying to not have her go down there by having her go to school, but she keeps making mistakes. There's a scene where her grandfather tells her something about her left hand being the devil's hand, which I guess is very much in the lore of Taiwanese culture, and she starts stealing stuff. And it's cute to watch her in the music that plays out, and how they get up and close and personal with how she runs and how she wanders around and how she just kind of asks questions. And there's a ferret or meat rat or whatever that's in this that has a really interesting kind of story about how she reacts to it. And I think the young girl just is a young girl, so therefore she just kind of, it's almost like Shi Ching Su, who's kind of using a little bit of her life inspiration, has taken this character, and this is what she was when she was younger, when she was told this kind of stuff. And therefore, I just think it's an honest portrayal. Like, this whole movie is just an honest portrayal, a realistic portrayal. A family who struggles with stuff that they put onto themselves and the world that it presents to them. You know, there's a lot of times where their family is that she lives, that she knows, that she has, is much better off, and kind of puts her down for being like a black sheep. And you know, it's the idea of like, you know, her brother, who comes in late in the film, is much better off, and it just feels like that, you know, every time she tries to do something, it just backfires on her, and it leads to this like explosive finale, which I found really impactful and really heartfelt, and it actually kind of punched me in the gut because it kind of comes out of nowhere. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because it really is a thing where the things that we do, the things that we act, how we portray ourselves, the things that we fault ourselves for, if we harbor them and we don't bring them out to the open, they will come back and haunt us. And it's such a haunting ending. It's such a dark ending, but it's also one that you really feel for these characters. And once again, you feel for these characters throughout this entire film, because you know that they're trying to deal with their own sins and their own devils in their own right. And you just get this heartbreaking, like insane finale that just kind of comes out of nowhere. And then they have this guy who owns this kind of small shop right next to the noodle shop, who becomes like kind of their lifeline for normalcy. It is fun to watch. And I can't remember who the guy's name is, but the actor is so much fun to watch. It's so kinetic. And once again, the daughter of the mother creates a lot of chaos that kind of unfoils and backs up and becomes just a chaotic mess, and is something that the mother, I'm sure, had to deal with. And so therefore, it's just a really well put together movie. It's one of my favorites of the year, really high on my list, to be fairly honest. That's why I keep making fun of Netflix and, you know, Neon and stuff like that. They just keep putting out banger movies that these directors and writers are allowing them to put on their streaming service. And I hope this movie gets a lot of love at the Oscars, because it's such a powerful, potent movie that's shot really well. Once again, I'm shooting my reviews on an iPhone, and you could tell, like, it really works. Like, an iPhone really does a nice job of just getting up close and personal. You know, they probably had handhelds on the phones here, and like they had a small lens on it, and they're, you know, up close and personal to the person. And it really is just a really beautiful film, and really kind of set me back and took emotional wallop to me, and made me sad, but also made me hopeful that the mistakes we make, we can learn from them. And yeah, so it's a really, really well put together movie. Once again, we're not even through the end of the year, and this is already stacking up to be a really good year for film and movies. And I gotta give a lot of credit to Sean Baker, because he allowed his producing partner to direct a really wonderful film. It's sad to see that this movie had trouble getting financing, because movies like this should be seen. They should be put out into the open. And honest portrayals are just some of the most unique films out there. So I really love this movie. It's one of my favorite movies of the year, and I highly recommend it. It is very hard to watch, but it has some really humorous moments. It has some really heartfelt moments, and it has some great portrayals from great actors in this movie. So there you go. So that is my take on Left-Handed Girl, which is in limited release right now, which will be, I think, on Netflix very soon, by the end of the month at least. So definitely check it out if you get a chance. If it's in theaters, I definitely highly recommend it. But otherwise, the comments below, if you've seen this movie, what do you think overall? Did you like it? Did you not like it? All that good stuff. Otherwise, if you like what you see on this channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell, top to find what's coming next. If you like the video, awesome. Hit that like button. And as always, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out, guys.